Thank you for letting me here. And thank you, Channel Islands Restoration, for everything you do for us, for Island Packers and the islands. This story is about Island Packers, 55 years in May coming up. This is my father, Bill Conley. He had a great idea. And so he was a creator. He was a designing engineer for Beaumar TIC in Thousand Oaks. He was very smart at creating the black box, the first microwave oven, parts for Apollo 2. He just was a creator for so many things. He just was amazing at that. He had a dream about Island Packers. He basically was a longshoreman. He worked on the ocean, on boats. He had a lot of history in boating. We lived in Granada Hills, and I don't see you guys, but we're good. We lived in Granada Hills, and you guys still there?
Yes.
Okay. And we lived there till I was age 10. My father and my brothers backpacked the High Sierras for years. On the weekends, they would go up to the mountains and enjoy the islands, enjoy the mountains and backpack. And we thought we would be starting a pack mule station in the High Sierras. However, he didn't want us to grow up in Los Angeles, so he found a beautiful home on the beach in Oxnard Shores. We moved there in 1965. There we enjoyed boating with friends and neighbors, and on the weekends still went backpacking. When we lived in LA, we were going to have this pack mule station in the High Sierras, but instead being on the ocean, we enjoyed the Channel Islands. We got into sailing. This is our home. My father, my brothers, and our A-frame home, and my mom and my brothers, and this fellow in the front, Harry, we adopted him. He was always our neighbor friend that went backpacking in the mountains with us as kids. So basically my father was very involved in the YMCA in LA. And when we moved to the beach, he created a group of kids on the beach to be in the YMCA. And we had this group of 50 kids, actually 50 boys, in my front living room once a week having meetings. My father wanted to help kids, keep them out of the streets and into nature. Here's all my brothers and my father backpacking and crossing the streams in the mountains. There's Harry over here on the right, just having fun with the kids, getting them out in nature. Sailing the islands, we met friends that had boats. They took us out. We had a lot of fun boating. This George Bradley, he really was a big part of our life, being introduced to the islands. And that was in '67, we started boating. We went out on a little sailboat and explored the islands. My brothers and my dad, they met this guy named Jake. His nickname is Jake the Snake, and he had a dive boat, and he talked my brothers into going out to the islands for $50 and dropping them off on one of the islands. Well, on the way out, the boat started sinking, so he just said, jump ship. And so my brothers all rowed ashore. As you can see, there's my two brothers in a rowboat. They rowed ashore, all of them, and camped on Anacapa Island at this little place called Rat Point, West Anacapa. So there's Mark on the left, and one of our friends that helped us with boating. His child came out with us, and they enjoyed camping out on the islands for about a week or two. They explored the islands and then came back with this great idea that maybe we ought to start a business. Hey, it'd be kind of fun. We could buy a boat, take people out, get paid, and have fun. Well, lo and behold, that was a long process, but yes, it's been fun. So Mother's Day, May 10th, 1968, we're at the Anchors Way Boatyard there. My brother, me, my dog, Maggie, Margaret, Rose, Beauregard, the third colony, all my three brothers, my mom and dad holding a bottle of champagne, ready to hit the bow of the Island Packer. It's quite an old photo there. That's in 1968. There she is, pretty boat. We worked hard, 4 coats of paint. They had me in the head scraping layers and layers of paint off this boat inside the bathroom part. That was a really rotten job for the only girl in the family. You know, I didn't like it very much, but we did what we had to do. We had friends and neighbors helping us. The boat cost us about $5,000 to get it and put it in the water, a little bit more money than that, of course. There she is launching in the boatyard. My dad's standing there getting so excited to launch that beautiful boat. There's Mark. Everybody knows my brother Mark. I don't know if he's dreaming that this is going to be fun or if he's thinking it might be not much fun, but I think he was thinking this is a pretty cool deal. So that was the beginning of Island Packers. First office was the launching ramp in Ventura Harbor. The Island Packer was launched and we put it there. We had a little tiny trailer, no phone, just a little index card file where my dad and me and my brothers would wait for people to walk by. We relied on walk-in customers. Imagine that. We do that still today. But the customer would come up, we'd talk them into going out. My dad would go to the pay phone and call mom and tell her to put them on the books. We're bringing these guys out on the boat. Meanwhile, the crew are always on standby. Nowadays, they're just on standby to work or get canceled for the boat ride. So it's a little different now, but they were always on standby. We couldn't afford to pay them. We had no money. We were not doing that well in the beginning in 1968. So we had this agreement. If you work for us, you can live in our living room and my mom will cook for you. So that was the agreement we had with our employees. So the first flyer we had is, excuse me, sorry. The first flyer we had was designed by my father. And gosh, you know, $7.50. Go out and go camping on an island. Picnic, $7.50. Sightseeing tour, only $5. Now it's $44 for an island wildlife cruise. Coastal cruise, $1.50. So we tried to do whatever we could then to bring in income for that boat. And my father was quite an artist. He knew how to do all of the press releases, public relations, everything. He did that, as well as being a mechanic on the boat and helping the family run the business. So this is our second flyer we created. It was pretty fancy, you know, a big collage of people having fun. We had all these models and created this fun little brochure. And going just to Anacapa Island, as that was the only island we could go to, the National Monument, Anacapa Island at that time. So you bring everything, you can go hiking, picnic, camping on Anacapa Island. And then we'll talk about Santa Cruz here coming up with some more photos. Our first captain was Curly Oliver, quite the sailor with his little captain's hat. And these are our passengers, all free, paid, no paying passengers. Our first trip, everybody went for free. We just wanted to make it look good. So we had a full boat of free passengers, friends, all going and having fun. So this is the Island Packer at the island anchored at Anacapa. And I'm on the bow and my brothers are on the stern talking. They're not working very hard. And there's a little cabin there where people could go inside and get out of the weather. And the little head, only one head on the boat. And the whole back end of the boat was basically seating area. So this was about a 50-foot boat. And then you see the little stars right behind the banner of Island Packers. That was for the boys and I, Mark, Kirk, Brad, and Cheryl, the 4 stars. So this
Cheryl?
Yes?
I just can't help but introducing Greg Reynolds says, that was me. Made me feel like family.
Yes, yes, definitely. Greg definitely was family.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Love it. Love it. So here I was the one that was the little gal walking around selling hot chocolate and Twinkies and coffee. And oh gosh, if you didn't feel good, let me help you out. So these are the people just not feeling so great that day. And basically had a small galley with just some very limited things, no stove or anything. So everybody sat in the back of the boat in a, it was basically there at the launching ramp, and then we moved forward to some other office locations we'll talk about. Frenchie's Cove, 1968, camping, tide pools, and school trips. You can see there's a beach there, and then an outhouse up on the top here, and the picnic area. And you can hike right over to the backside and be on the backside where the tide pools were. And then there was also an area where you can hike to the top of the bluff, which I'll show you shortly. This is the backside of the island where people were able to surf and swim. And, you know, on a good low tide, you could walk all the way down to Cat Rock. And that was very popular for our floating classrooms. So we would take up to 100 people and camp on that little rocky beach there. Not very comfortable, no water, no campfires, you know, we're just very basic there. People brought their gear in and camped on the beach. This is Curly Oliver pulling up the old Island Packer. I don't know if you can see that very well, but we had 100 Sea Scouts. We put him ashore. He ran the boat onto the beach and had all of them jump off the bow and put the gear onto the beach. We had no skiff at that time. So this is how we got you ashore. A couple times we had problems with the boat with the planks because of him running aground like that. It definitely damaged the bottom of the boat some. So this is up on top of Frenchie's Cove. That was a campground on the very peak of the island. Then eventually the landslides and the erosion closed that all down. But we went to Frenchie's Cove for many, many years, taking people through tide pools. It was so popular. The kids just loved it. There's the top of the island. There's another campground way up on the very top of that peak. So there's the people hiking, and it was beautiful. You'd hike up the top and see the whole backside of Anacapa, kind of like East End Anacapa, but we couldn't go there then. That was all closed off. So another trip that we decided to do is we worked out a relationship with Dr. Kerry Stanton. He basically owned 3/4 of the island. And so my father had gotten in a good relationship with him and Bill Huffman, and they had Mr. Lagomasino, and they basically worked out a agreement to build this Tahitian village at Albert's Anchorage in 1968. We had 8 grass huts, and you had all your amenities there, cot inside, and you just bring your food in, and everything was set up for you. This is the brochure, part of the brochure. To enhance you to come out, you know, you'd pay about, I don't know, I think it was about $100 for the whole weekend, and we'd drop you off there for the whole weekend to stay in those little grass huts. But the Polynesian Girl was not included. But there's skiffs here that you could take out and go diving. It was a dive camp, and Warren Glazer was our chief ranger out there. These are the skiffs that we had. I don't know where that came from with that somersault, but these grass huts were pretty cool. They're pretty darn nice. And as you can see, the sea cliffs there is very, you know, rugged there. And you go to Albert's now and you see, all you see is rocks on the beach. It's a very small little beach. It's not so large of a shoreline there. But then, you know, it was very nice. And we had this big area where there was a big fire pit. I remember as a child going out there and thought this was so fun. We could go diving and hiking. You hike up to the top of the bluff of the island, have a big campfire on the beach. It had a big pit there for campfires. The chief ranger had his own hut, and he had an air compressor to do the tanks. People would just go out with their skiff and go diving, and talk about the best diving. It was great fishing. And this is an amphibious duck that they brought out from the mainland. I think we could use this at the Channel Islands if we didn't have piers. But we basically would load your people up. We'd go out to we'd anchor, and the amphibious duck would come out to the boat, and we would put everybody on with their gear, and you would hang on and go through the surf and land on the beach. And it was really fun. People loved that. It was an easy way to get ashore. There's a Polynesian grass hut here, someone enjoying barbecuing. I don't know, some of you probably remember Warren Glazer, a very well-known person in Ventura, and he was very devoted to be out there on the island assisting our visitors. And just look at the fish, you know, this is Warren and one of his staff, Steve Milroy, and they were out scuba diving, and Just loving it at the island. Those were the good old days. So this is the story here. Unfortunately, the landslide went on top of one of the grass huts. As I was sharing earlier, the bluff of the island there, one of the rocks came down and landed on top of one of the huts. So Dr. Stanton decided that it was time to tear down the village. So it only lasted for about a year, you know, went from 68 to 69. And then we volunteered to take the debris off the island in the fall, actually in December. So the Island Packer went out with 2 crew, a captain and a deckhand. Bruce Dexter was the captain and Keith McGrew. And we went out, headed out there and had problems with the boat. Fuel line was the sediment in the fuel lines, and waited to get it cleared, called the mainland, talked to my brothers and my mom and dad and discussed the problem. Meanwhile, the winds are typical December wind, up to 40 knots of wind and 8 to 10 foot seas. The boat drifted. They could not get it cleared quick enough, the fuel system. So they dropped anchor, and the anchors did not hold. They tried several times. And the good old Island Packer that we all loved drifted all the way to Anacapa. Coast Guard tried twice to come out, finally arrived almost too late, but did save our 2 crew. And the boat hit Anacapa Island on the eastern tip of Anacapa. It's under a landslide. And it was devastating, as my family we were all home, and we were in the middle of a new partnership with a new boat called the Paisano. We wanted to take it out, but felt that we needed to have Coast Guard help us. We weren't completely signed off in the partnership and insurance, so we didn't want to take any risks. So we relied on our boat being saved. Unfortunately, it was not saved. And so they basically tried to pull the boat from the island, and everything they tried just didn't work. So Bruce and the deckhand jumped ship. They were saved, and the boat hit the island. Because we had no paying passengers, this was the beginning of the challenges of Island Packers, as we had no paying passengers. So we lost the insurance on that. It was not covered. So we had to start over. So what we did was we decided to sell our home and start our business all over. And because we really didn't have much choice. We weren't sure which way to go, and we felt we needed to continue on. So we kept our partnership with the Paisano and started a new business with the Island Packers, continuing as Island Packers Corporation. Then we had that challenge of the flood in 1969 in February. That was one challenge before we lost our boat. Our boat was in Channel Islands Harbor when this happened. So as you can see, my brother and my dad and friends, and we're all helping boaters here. This is on the left side where Ventura West Marina is on Spinnaker Drive. We were all helping move boats, saving them, because people were having trouble trying to salvage their vessels. So that was pretty devastating. I've never seen anything like it. I felt bad for all those people, and it was a really bad flood of the year. So we do get those time of year, January, February, March. We never know what to expect. And we do get some heavy rain, and sometimes it just can't be managed. And the river overflown over the Santa Clara River, went over the Ventura Harbor there. And that's how this happened. So we continued our partnership with the Paisano. This boat here is a replica of the Island Packer. So after the Island Packer sank, Kirk and one of his buddies decided that they found this boat, this old trawler, and thought, well, let's buy it. It looks just like the Island Packer, just a little bit smaller. So we bought it to have some fun. That was our boat. That was our pleasure boat. It's still here today. It's down in the marina here. Kirk is restoring it into a research vessel for underwater shipwreck with a ROV on the back deck. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But many, many memories as a child and a teenager going out on the Gringo, and a lot of good times while my mom and dad worked really hard. In the good days. In the young days, we had a lot of fun boating. There's the Paisano, 65-foot Navy boat. We did really well with this vessel. It was a partnership with Lawrence Vernan's father, Sandy Vernan. Lawrence now runs Cisco Sport Fishing. So it's all still in the family, but Paisano's no longer with us, but we used it for bow hunting trips to the island. Archery with Dr. Stanton. We took bow hunters on Mondays and Fridays. I was the galley cook, and my brothers were the crew, and we went there in Santa Barbara Island. Since it was a national monument, we were able to do more outer island trips, did dive trips, fishing trips, birding trips, whatever we could do, just whatever we could make it fun, and make income. The boat had a lower deck down below. I remember as a teenager cooking down in that galley down there where those portholes are, and just getting so seasick. I'd come back up the deck and get sick over the side and go back down and cook some more. It was not good days going to Prisoners Harbor in that boat, Santa Barbara Island or Santa Rosa Island. It was just really rough seas, but the boat can handle it. The people up in the front, that's my dad and my mom. And they had no idea what they were up against in their future, but they have had a dream. And so this is a part of the beginning. There's my mom. She was always a big flirt, and hiding her newspaper, walking up the gangway at Cisco Sport Fishing was our landing that we moved to when we were at in the harbor. In Ventura Harbor, we stayed at the launching ramp, and then we moved to Cisco's after we lost the Island Packer. So this was our location for our boats. We grew here for quite a while. I had a good relationship with Jack Ward, and that's my dad cussing at me, and I'm laughing. We're all having a good time. So here we go, is the Paisano on a dive trip at Santa Rosa. Kirk is up on the upper bridge there. I'm on to the right there hanging out, and these people are enjoying going out and going diving. If you could see on the beach there, there's the Barretts that were there. They're no longer there. People, island workers come out and do eradication, put in the, what do you call those, wattles? They bombed that out and put wattles through there and soil and covered it all up. I don't know if it'll ever come back up in someday, but it's all underground there. So it's a pretty interesting photo there. Another rusty, salty photo from the media of us on a windy day. We had my dad trying to make us smile. We don't like to smile. We weren't really crazy about the press, but my dad definitely was very involved with we did many, many press trips, and Mark and I would scuba dive and bring up critters from the ocean and share them with the press, and a lot of good memories, getting some good stories from the media. And we continue to do press trips these days. It's so important to have the media, and that helps us grow our company. We're very grateful for that. There's my dad. He's happy he got another boat. We bought the Wee 7. This boat was named Wee 7 before us. Kenny Lamb owned it. We bought it and to take people scuba diving and island trips. The reason it's called Wee 7 is because there were 7 owners at one time. So we owned the boat and had it till we ended up selling it. We sold it to my brother Brad. We talked him into buying it, and then Brad sold it. So it was a moneymaker for a while, and then had some difficulty because it only carried 29 passengers. It was a dive boat. I learned how to scuba dive on this boat, 40-foot length, 29 passengers. Very small wheelhouse, very small back deck, small galley. I cooked all sorts of food down in that galley for the passengers. We'd even cook abalone on the way home and have it for an hors d'oeuvre for our passengers in the good old days. Those people don't look like they're having much fun, but we had a lot of fun out there on this boat. But very small. On a rough day, the water would go all the way down into the galley like a little creek. I mean, it was always a challenging boat in rough seas. So there she is there. We had a big dive bank on the back of the boat, and my brother and I would, at the end of the day, take all these apart and put them in the truck and take them home take them over to the dive shop, get them filled, put them back in the boat, in the car, the truck, pick up, and then back to the landing, put them in the cart, take them down to the boat. This was terrible work, hard labor, and we didn't get paid much for it either. So it was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. The flooding classroom was a big part of our company's growth, and it still is. My father and these two guys, these two men, Les Meredith and John Prince, were our instigators to help my dad create the floating classroom, which bringing kids, take them off the streets, getting them out in nature and enjoying the islands and the ocean, the wildlife, the marine life, and learn about the ocean tidal zone with all the critters. So we'd had have the critter tank right on the back deck of our vessel, and equipment to share with the kids to do visibility in the water, the clarity of the water, and sample plankton toes. It was a lot of change for our company. It brought in a lot of kids to the islands, especially to Frenchie's Cove for the tide pools. That was a big, big thing for Island Packers then. This is how you got ashore. We rowed you ashore. We didn't have outboards. So this is how you got on the beach or off the beach. This is Frenchie's Cove here. Notice the uniforms, no shirts. These guys, we didn't have uniforms then. You could wear whatever you wanted to wear. Bikini, swim shorts, you name it. There were no rules. This is Jason when he was a little guy, and Jonna Engel, employees, became a skiff operator for our company. She's just an amazing woman. This is out at the islands doing the education program. Looks like one of the dive boats in the background, scuba diving there at Anacapa. Another live touch tank here, just showing people the critters and letting them know how they live in the oceans. And you see the skiff in the back there, that's how we brought you out. We towed that skiff behind us all the way to the island, pull it in when we get to the anchor, and then let it out as we headed home. And that's how you got ashore. This is my dad and my crew having an argument or a meeting, I'm not sure which, in our old office. And this fella here is Captain Keith Provold, who worked for us for many years as a crew member, a captain. Then he bought the Sunfish as partnership. And then he also, along with Alex Brody and my brother Mark, partnered into the Catamarans. So a little history. Floating classroom, these are educators. Holly is still with us. Holly, a lot of our employees, when they come to work for us, they stay and then they leave. I hate that, but you know, when they leave, they go get a better job, something that they can do for their future. And we feel like our company was stepping stones for their growth. Holly works for Jean-Michel Cousteau, and to this day has come back to join us again and working part-time for us and for Jean-Michel. So the gal in the middle with the ponytail, we're very fortunate to still have her working for us in educating the public about the ocean. And then we started the Ocean in Motion classroom. Oh, my spelling is wrong here, classroom. And did that in the classes. We bring the critters to the classroom those days. Anything we could do to find ways to bring in more income. It was like $100 to go to a classroom and have one of our naturalists be there to present the animals and the tidal pool animals. There we go, the Paisano trying to get in the skiff. Always fun. Don't smash your fingers between the hull of the boat and the rowboat, or now there is a motorboat. But Paisano carried about 50 people. And you can see it's a good size, good strong vessel. This boat, unfortunately, got to where when we pulled it out for our annual haul out, Coast Guard found damage in the hull and said that no longer could we use it for passengers for hire. So we ended up having to sell the boat for about $500 and walking away. It was a real loss to all of us, our partner in Island Packers. So these are the challenges you have when you buy older vessels. We kept buying older vessels and leasing them or owning them and keeping them repaired. I just remember my brothers and my dad late at night in the engine room working hard to keep the boat running so that we know we'd be able to go out the next day with engine issues and stuff. There's just this endless problems with older vessels. This is Santa Barbara Island. We had a Quonset hut out there. This is these kind of old pictures. Dave Stoltz is over there talking to everybody. Some people know who he is, but very good long-term employee of the national park and no longer there. But I'm not sure if that's Ian Williams in there standing there, but anyway, this is an example of Santa Barbara Island. We went there every Monday and Friday, took people there. And that was a good money maker for us for taking people camping on Santa Barbara Island. So we had a good relationship with Dr. Stanton, my dad and him. We basically were able to bring those bow hunters back and forth on Monday and Friday for extra income, which I hated because all they would do was load all these sheep and pigs on the back of the boat. And, you know, they were just piled on the back of the vessel. It was not a pretty sight for island packers to be doing, but it was a good money maker. The bow hunters would get on the boat and I'd barter with them for a 6-pack of beer to sell it to them for as much as I could because they were very thirsty and there wasn't much on board. So here I am at 15 years old selling beer, but those days you got away with it. But Dr. Stanton had never been to Anacapa, so we took him out on the Paisano and gave him a VIP trip to see this island. He, you know, he was pretty much devoted to being on his island, working there in the Central Valley. So we took many trips there, and this picture here is just at the ranch and with his foreman. And I think that's Joe Walsh to the right sitting there with them. So every year on Mass, May 3rd, we would have take the people out to the island. We still were doing that until COVID came. And so Marla Daly and Kirk Conley run the Santa Cruz Island Foundation, my brother and his wife, and continue on with Mass after Dr. Stanton passed in 1987. They continue to run the Mass and manage Santa Cruz Island Foundation. There is a new museum that's being built in Carpinteria that I highly recommend everybody to see. It should be open by the summer through the Santa Cruz Island Foundation. It's going to be great. It has all the history of the island people and very, very well done. Kirk and Marla have worked very hard on that. So if you can do that, check out the museum that will be built over there off of Linden, the old Bank of America building. So we did the fishing trips on the Paisano. Now I have 3 older brothers, Mark, Kirk, Brad, and then myself. So Brad is the youngest of the 3. I'm the very youngest of all of them. He was a fisherman, so we did a lot of fishing trips to the island, and on the Paisano, it was a popular thing is take people fishing. So any way we could provide transportation of some sort to have fun and bring in income, we did that. So we took people out fishing, and my brother he did not like tourists. I mean, he wasn't really made for that. He was really made to go fishing. So this was his niche working for the company. This is my brother, Brad. He moved to out of the area when my dad said we had to start wearing uniforms. Striped blue jean, bell-bottom Levi's, and a crew shirt with our name on it. My brother said, that's it, I'm moving out. So he went to Washington, Westport, Washington. He's there now, and was a fisherman in the Bering Sea for many, many years on a big trawler, and very successful captain, and retired. This is my father negotiating again. This is a lot of things we do. We have to negotiate with the park and have a working relationship. It is sometimes hard to do, but it's important that we work together. So Gary Robinson was currently the ranger out there that would give us what we can and can't do. And there's the WE7 behind there. It's an old picture. But my dad was always working with the park. He'd go pound on their doors and raise heck whenever he could. He was a very outspoken person to make sure things were going right, because it was a challenge with the islands, and as they were growing, we wanted to see them expand for more visitors coming to the islands. So this is Jack Fitzgerald. He was the chief ranger, and there's Mark. He's arguing with him about, well, maybe he's not arguing. He's probably just talking about how we can make this landing better. And that was a long time ago. This was a long time ago, and we still had that challenge. And now we have those new stairs on the island with the platform, and making it much easier for people to get ashore at Anacapa. So we're really grateful with the relationship with the park and getting these things better for the visitor. This is my father's dream, was a whole fleet of brigantine schooners. So this is one of the vessels we had, the Shearwater, at our dock. We'd take people on half day and all day sails and multi-day sails, sunset sails. And so that was one of the things that my father loved, was sailing. And so we tried this. It was successful in lots of ways. We even had a boat called the Swift of Ipswich that went to Santa Cruz, and we put you ashore at Scorpion and have a barbecue lunch and then come home. But, you know, if there's no wind, it takes forever to get to an island. So some things weren't working. And these boats require a lot of maintenance, and we couldn't give them enough business to keep them at our dock. So we had them for a while, and we loved having the schooners. It was a part of our operation for a while. There's the Kelpie 2. That was a great boat that we had as well. There's our crew up on the deck there helping, and the crew loved it. A new change. Instead of a power boat and skiffing people ashore, we had a schooner, and they loved that challenge. That was fun. There's Mark sailing. He loved it. He was a sailor. They all enjoyed that, and it's just a good change, but not successful for our company. This is my father in his best, at his best, being happy sailing. Tuck Donnelly up here, and owned and managed the schooner. Beautiful boat, just a beautiful boat. Josie and Dwight, that's how we met Josie and Dwight Willie. They basically were on board as crew, captain and crew, and cooked. Josie was the chef on board. So a lot of fun. The Dia Marisa was a motor sailor that we brought in, that my brother Kirk managed. They drove it. All my brothers had captain licenses, so it was a big help with the business to have them driving these vessels. This boat went to Alaska and down to the Sierra Cortez and for research. And it was a nice change of pace for our crew members to go out with Kirk and have a different experience. So to try and change the pace and keep everybody happy, we take them into Baja and to Alaska into the Inland Passage. This is another vessel that we had. It was a 65-foot oil supply boat called the Jeffrey Arvid. That's Jason in the back of the cabin there, hanging on there, and our crew. And we pulled that back fence out there, that gate, to back into the island. You know, with the catamarans, we back right up to the pier. Well, this is how we backed up to the pier, the Jeffrey Arvid. Big, fast boat. It was the big change for our company to get out to the outer islands, as you see, Santa Rosa and San Miguel. Not overnight trips, but we were able to get out to all the outer islands faster. A lot of fuel burnt on her, but it was a joint venture with the owner. Again, we really found that owning boats was more than we could handle. We rather lease them and try and have the owners help us maintain them when we could, but we got stuck with a lot of the work anyway. There's the Sunfish, the old 65-foot Sunfish. We all know that boat. It's in Channel Islands Harbor now, and with Garrett doing kayaking off of the islands, off of Anacapa. But we would, I think this looks like Pelican Bay, I think. And this boat was a money maker for Island Packers. So Kirk and Mark, Kirk bought the boat and brought it here to Ventura and partnered with Mark. And they had it for 2 decades together, running it with keeping Island Packers open. I mean, it basically was providing the income to keep the business growing and getting in better shape. You know, we had hard times till like in the late 90s. We finally started getting out of the worst part of our debt of the company. We just, having the Island Packers sink was a real devastating challenge. And then trying just to run a business with what we had, it was very tough times. As Ken gave the introduction of myself, I had to leave for a while and get some work and learn more about what to do to run a business, and then come back with better knowledge. And Mark was very hard working with my mother to keep the business open with just him and Mark and our crew for five years or so, 5 to 7 years. And then things started happening, getting better. There's the old Sunfish again, good shape. Used it for diving, sightseeing, fishing, kayaking. We could put kayaks on the top deck there. You know, as we all know, kayaking is such a big part of the Channel Islands, is kayaking off the coast and the sea caves. Very popular, and that helped our business grow as well. Captain Keith driving the boat on the upper deck, just like the catamarans, but on the Sunfish. And Keith became our partner with the Sunfish, and then in 2000 became a partner in the catamarans. This is Matt Kelly, who's our dock expediter, our operation manager, having a little social gathering with Mark and you know, in the island time. We didn't have much time to have meetings at home, so they were out at the islands having a serious discussion. He's been a great part of the company to improve our growth of Island Packers. He basically worked as a deckhand for the Speed Twin, one of the boats, and came to work for us, and then left to be a school teacher, educator, and then after he retired, he came back. And that's, we do get some people who come back to work for us, which we're very fortunate to have. And Matt has made a big difference in helping our company and helping me and Mark and Alex. So Janae was another boat that we had that went to Santa Barbara Island. It was a successful period of time, but you know, it's one of those boats that you get from Washington. They're pretty hardy boats that can handle the outer waters. Another term of a lease that eventually the boat left, but we did keep it for a long term. We had the Vanguard come in. That boat, Glenn Galbraith was a fisherman that worked on the China Clipper in Channel Islands Harbor for years, and he built his own boat to go fishing. He saw how Island Packers grew, and he decided he'd rather, instead of fishing, he'd like to bring the boat in with Island Packers. So Glenn Galbraith, amazing boat builder, built this amazing boat, taught my son how to drive it as well. It's been crew. Uncle Glenn, we call him. We lost him years ago and we miss him, but the boat is still running. His daughter owns it, and Jason is operation on that boat to go from Oxnard Harbor on a regular basis to the islands, Anacapa, sometimes Santa Cruz, and lots of island wildlife cruises and whale watches. This is how we put you ashore at Anacapa first. When Anacapa first opened, we row you ashore. There's Mark and my dad and crawling up the ladder. So shoreboat operations went from very primitive to nice with those inflatables that we use now. But equipment is very important. Equipment, you know, if you have good equipment, you'll have better service. The whale watch boats, Speed Twin and the Liberty, we brought them in as partnered with the company, so because we had so many whales coming in the channel and more, so Mark brought these boats in to operate and carry 100 people twice a day. So that was a big revenue for us to have more whale watching in the channel. As you know, the sanctuary being protected and the wildlife we see, the marine life is amazing, and it just continues to be that way. And we're very fortunate, and introducing that to the public makes them so happy, and they come back and tell their friends. And I think it's a highlight of the day are those whales and the dolphins. Alex ended up getting this boat, the Sundown, and leasing it. We basically did educational trips on it, and also some multi-days. This is the backside of Forney's on Santa Cruz Island. What a fun day. These are all kids that spent 2 nights, 3 days on the Sundown. Down below, there's bunk rooms and a galley, and educated them for 3 days, hands-on, on board educational trips. And it was very successful and fun, but it was a lot of work, So we stopped doing that. We had the Peace, Dive Boat Peace. We did that also with them. It was successful, but in time that changed as well. This is our first level of skiffs. It was rowing you, as I said before. This is going into the sea caves. When we first went to Anacapa, this is how we got to shore. It was in the skiff, but we'd also be on our way back, getting back to the boat at anchor, we'd go into Frenchie's Cave. And my brothers never had to go to the gym. They were in good shape, just having to roll people around. And it was a lot of fun on a good day. On a bad day, it was a lot of work. My dad giving Mark some lessons on skiffing, running the skiff, to Gary Robinson, looking pretty serious, our park ranger. And I don't know who that fellow is looking at us, but I don't know who that is, but he doesn't look very happy. But my dad was a mentor for my brothers to learn all about boating. This is skiffing into the beach at Anacapa at the East End Landing Cove. Good day with a lot of camping gear. And that's my brother Brad driving the boat, trying to get all that stuff ashore. And those were the good old days, is landing people at the pier with a skiff. And we didn't have where we can go up to the pier. It wasn't safe to go up to the Anacapa pier. This is Santa Barbara Island. There's the Paisan on the background. And our skiff and our crew. We had no pier at Santa Barbara Island. And so we basically pulled up to that bluff there, and you had to crawl up those rocks. And I know that that would be the answer right now if we could do it, but it's not safe. I don't know how we did it, but it's not safe. And then we did it. The rocks and the barnacles and the water, and it's just definitely not worth taking the chance. But we'll get a new pier at Santa Barbara Island soon. But this is what we challenged when we were in the 70s. My father, he's looking a little angry. His boots are full of water is what I think. He's got those knee-high hip boots. I don't know why he was wearing those, because they just get full of water on that pier. But those were our new skiff shoes at the time at Santa Barbara Island. There's another picture at Santa Barbara Island, just trying to get people ashore in the 70s. This is our uniform again. If people don't wear shirts, you know, they just come out and it's a beautiful day and this is how they dress. Randy Ehorn was a great captain on our boats, and his father was the superintendent of the park, and we brought Randy in as a worker. He became a skiff operator and a captain, working in Alaska eventually. So we loved having Randy working for Island Packers, and you know, all of our people took their job very seriously, even if they weren't wearing a uniform. This is Alicia. Alicia was our first woman captain, skiff operator. And there's a Jeffrey Ard right behind her, telling them where to keep their hands inside, and I'll let you know when to jump out of the boat on the beach. So great crew. That's what good training, great crew, a lot of good times. More women crew with short shorts. There were no rules. Now I try and tell the girls that they have to have a little bit longer. Please don't have too short of shorts. You know, it's not a good idea, but this was the good old days again. This looks like, I think this is at Scorpion Anchorage, it looks like to me. Maybe the south side. I'm not sure where that is, but I think it's the south side, Smugglers probably. This is Anacapa when it was very raw. Before we start going, we just started, you know, they built that staircase, and that's the very, very beginning of taking people out to the island. A lot of fun out there swimming and snorkeling. This opened up a lot more for Island Packers, is going to the East End Landing Cove there. So had to be careful with the skiff, got swimmers on the water, but we made it all happen. Kayaking again became so popular. That is such a big thing for Island Packers to have the kayak companies coming out. Channel Island Adventure Company, Channel Kayak Center, helping us bring kayak people out to kayak the islands. This is the south side of the island. Again, no uniform, no rules. I think this is Albert's. My son learning how to drive a skiff. Alex would just say, get in the skiff and go drive the boat. So he learned how to drive boats at a very young age. Scorpion Anchorage opened up. That was a big thing. My dad and my brothers and some of our crew, we were excited that Mr. Greeny wanted to allow us to take people out to Scorpion. So we volunteered to come out and stay and work out there and get everything restored and cleaned up. It was a lot of work being a sheep ranch, a lot of junk, things were needing repair. So we came out and helped restore Scorpion Anchorage so we could take day visitors and people to stay in the house at the ranch, the B&B that they provided. The Jarrett Owens parents ran it, and other guides ran this little ranch out there. So it was kind of fun. It was challenging for us because we weren't really making any money. We would take people out and we'd have to pay $15 a person for a camp, someone to stay at the B&B at night every day per person to the Greenies, and $25 I think a day for day visitors. So it was a real hard way to make any money, but we were excited to get started and get our foot in the door. So there's Mark in the middle, Mike Westbrook, Dwayne Owens on the right, my dad on the left. I think that's Jeff Cowan in the middle, some of our crew, helping make this place where we could take people. My dad working on the generator out there. He just loved to keep busy. There's the old ranch that before, you know, it was a sheep ranch. They fixed this up so you could stay out here in the little house and have a barbecue every night. And then the old adobe in there was a kitchen where you can do all your cooking. You could have, bring your food in and everything was there for you. Very nice setup. It was really great. Unfortunately, that changed in time. But a B&B on the island is a good idea if you can survive with a kitchen and all the restaurant rules and everything. I think it's a great idea, but it's a big expense. A lot of fun, another good memory. Scorpion Anchorage, when it opened up the doors for Island Packers. Definitely helped us grow, definitely made a difference in the company. We're so grateful that we have this opportunity to take people ashore. You know, the Park Service relationship we have now going to Scorpion, and great rangers, volunteers for the park. We're so grateful for them. I mean, we have so many people helping us keep the park open with educating the visitor when they come ashore. Camping, so huge, kayaking again, swimming, snorkeling. What a beautiful place, just beautiful. So glad that Scorpion is doing well, and we continue to bring more people to the islands to enjoy nature. So here we go. Scorpion again, and kayaking is a big tribute to Island Packers. We can only go so far with Scorpion. We'd like to see some more expansion in other areas. I think that Scorpion is definitely utilized well. Like to see us have more trips to the outer islands for camping at Santa Rosa and Santa Barbara Island, hopefully soon. This is our first office, or actually our second office. We had the launching ramp first. This is our second office. This is right there next to Anchors Way Boatyard and the Water's Edge restaurant. That's we had a little office there that we had for 20 years. In the front was the office for us to check in our people, and then the back room was our management of the office. So there's my mom in the back taking care of Jason so I can work up front. This was the next step, 1980, the landing at Ventura West Marina. My dad had this dream, and I thought he was crazy. What are we going to do? We got to fill that whole marina here with boats and make money. So he did. He filled the boats up, docks with boats, but some of them were friends' boats, and some of them were just skiffs. And we rented some boats, let people live here also, but you know, it was challenging trying to get people to pay their rent. We had the dive boat here at the end piece for the multi-days and stuff. And we had the schooners there. You see the two schooners and some sailboats that people could rent or live in at the dock there. And then there's the Sunfish to the far left, which is a great boat for the islands and continued to do well for us. The Wee 7 to the right, the Dia Marisa, and there's the Gringo. So it was nice. It was a big investment to take over this marina, and we were grateful that Ventura West allowed us to come in there. And it was perfect, because Bill Ehorn, the superintendent, said, this is where you need to be, because then the visitors could go to this visitor center and then hop on your boat. And that worked out well for a long time. But we had some hard times, and it was operating costs were difficult to survive. So eventually we ended up giving up some of our space and letting Ventura West rent liverboards there. And we just took up what we needed. And we no longer had all those boats there, just had the boats that were running our business. There was the office, my mom over onto the right with the retail that we had. That was our gift shop then. And as you know now, we have a great gift shop. That was our beginning of our gift shop. It's just a couple t-shirts with some birds on the top, seagull on the top of them, and you know, our logo, Indian shirt here to the right. So we did had a couple shirts here that's made by a local friend, Dan Harding, and it did okay. It helped pay the bill. As you see the paperwork on the counter, that was how we took care of you. You know, we had all these trips on paper. We didn't have a computer, and we had a register, and this is where we checked you in and got you on the boat. Next door was the Burger Galley. Well, actually it was the First Mate's Deli first, and then it changed to the Burger Galley. And so we were supposed to take over the whole thing, and that would be perfect for Island Packers. If we had that right now, that's perfect. But, you know, we don't have that. And we had to give up the deli as far as managing it. We didn't want to take it on. So we let them come in and lease that building space. And that was the best we could do, because then the visitor had food and they can get on the boat. That was the perfect way to run the business. And our future is hopefully we'll have something like that for our visitor with the new contract starting next year. Terrible thing, another trauma for our company is my father got sick. He fell in the engine room of one of our boats, went to the hospital, and it basically ended up having to pass away. We lost him in November of 1987 due to cancer. We took him up to the mountains of Fillmore and buried him on the peak where we used to go as kids backpacking. So that's what he wanted, was for us to take him where we used to go before we ran the business. And that was his last grand scheme. In the beginning, you saw a picture of him with his grand scheme, but this was his last grand scheme as Island Packers. And I know he'd be proud today of that. So we surely missed him. Some photos of our crew, always trying to have fun with them. This is all of the employees in 1997, Mark up on the top, and all of our crew, Alex up here. You know, he was a deckhand on the boats at the time, came to work for us as an intern, and eventually became partners on the boats. Andrea Mills, our education coordinator. My mother on the bottom left there. That was our staff at that time in 1997, 30 years there. We had a lot of fun then. We still do. We have parties, but this was our end of tourist season party. We basically had a tough summer with busy, crazy. So we decided we'd dress up as tourists and see how many people we can get in the skiff, see if we could sink it. Well, I don't know why that called that fun, but that's what we did. My mother is there sitting in there, and all of our crew. I'm in the back behind there. They've got everybody in there dressed up as tourists, having a good time, getting some good laughs, letting loose from a busy, hard summer. As I told you that I left the company for a while, this is my mother and my father, my mother and my brother, just holding on, working the business, and my mom just supporting Mark all the way. She never gave up. She was always helping us in any way she could. She was either working retail, making food for the groups that go on the boat, cooking in the back for the staff if they needed lunch, worked the retail in Oxnard, and checked in the boats out of Oxnard. She was always helping us run our company. My mother was a matriarch of the company, and Mark really appreciates all of her help, and vice versa. So here we are again at that landing, another IPCO party. This was a celebration of selling the boat, the We 7. So we had a lot of fun doing dock parties, boat parties, another holiday party. That isn't 1997, it is 1998. That's wrong. But these are all of our employees just trying to have fun, making it fun. This guy is crazy. He was always fun. I'm in their wheelhouse there. This is our Oxnard office. So a big change of the company is having the Oxnard office. That helped us grow and have more visitors. So we chose to be in Oxnard in the 90s because we didn't want anyone to compete with us. So we've always had that location as a boat transportation. Our goal is to eventually expand in Oxnard, because we can only be so big here, and extend our business in Oxnard Harbor at a new terminal somewhere in Channel Islands Marina. We don't know where and when, but it's on our agenda to look into growing in the future there with more boats out of Channel Islands Harbor besides the Vanguard. The Vanguard is running there almost daily, 2 times a day, a lot, doing the island trips and carrying good loads. There's the Emporium. We all know about the Marine Emporium. And then this is our new landing. So when I was working at the Harbor Village, Mark watched how the Harbor Village was growing so well with tourism. And I learned a lot being the marketing director there. And he decided that it's time to move next to the village where we can get some of those walk-in traffic from the village into Island Packers office. So we decided to partake partnership leasing through the port that old building that has been sitting there empty for years. So we moved in there and opened that gift shop and started taking people out. And it was the best thing for this business to grow. Besides creating new boats, having those new boats built, this was a big investment for us to move into this building, but it has definitely been worth it. So Mark, Alex, and Keith brainstormed, worked hard, looked at boats, looked at many boats, trying to figure out what would be the best boat for Island Packers. And so we thought, well, let's just get a boat and we'll redesign it, an old boat. That's a lot of money. So why not just look for a design we like and then create our boat and build it. So Alex, Mark, and Keith created the first boat, designed it from All American Marine, and had it built in Bellingham, Washington in 2001. We christened her on April 16th. She came in all the way from Washington, and that was a big, big day for Island Packers. And we christened it, and that boat started going back and forth to the islands with lots of people, more revenue to help us with our operation. And so we saw that this was definitely a good move forward, just to have this boat built for the company to assist us more instead of a used older vessel. This is our crew again, having fun. Christmas photo, we do that every year. It's a tradition. Because that boat did so well, we decided we better build another boat. So we built the second boat, the Island Adventure, and that boat exceeded itself very well also. Create a little bit better design, Alex working on it. So we started, we had two vessels at our landing, and the Port District built us docks so that we could have a good location for them for loading our guests. So there you go, there's our dock here and people coming out to get on the boat. Then on 2013, well, we needed another boat because the park said we did. So we didn't want to build another boat, but we did. And because that is part of the agreement with the Park Service, with our contract. To get that contract, we needed to have a third boat. So Dave, Alex, and Mark, and Keith created the Explorer, had it built, brought it in from Bellingham again. And there's my mother christening it off the bow. A little worried about doing it. She christened the boat. My son up on the bow. My sister-in-law, Kathy, who runs a retail shop. All of my amazing crew up there, so happy. I think they were happy. And it was a big day. 3 boats now. So we're good with 3 boats for now. Hopefully we're running full loads. It'd be nice to have another boat, but you know, we're just trying to get through some times right now, and that we do have plans for another vessel in approximately 2 years with the new contract. This is how we do for the Seamway. We take release the sea lions. This is an old photo, and Holly in the middle there, letting out the harbor seal at Anacapa Island. So we do these kind of things, as well as bring out people, nonprofits, to help on the islands and restore the islands. We look at all the things we can do to make things better for the park. There's Captain Keith again. This is an entanglement of a juvenile sperm whale that we helped save. That was needed to be done. And you can see it's very sad, but we were able to help this whale. The balloons, we stop for balloons. Not only stop for whales, but we stop for balloons and bring them in. We don't want our fish to die from all the bright colors and pollute, and you know, it's not good for the ocean. So we continue to do that every day. There's another sea lion release. off of the catamaran these days. That's what we do. And we've all let them come aboard as our guests to let them be freed. And the people enjoy seeing that. It's definitely good for the people to see that we are helping. And it feels good to help. Captain's license. If you got a captain's license, we don't do that anymore, but we used to throw you in the water. There, these guys are going in the water. There's Alex, captain and partner. We're glad to have him part of the company. He's now part of the Island Packers Corporation as a operation manager and partner with a new contract. But Alex and Mark are now the only partners of the catamaran, but we'll be merging those into Island Packers. My lovely brother, Mark. And then here we are, the family, my mom and Jason. This is when the first boat came. Happy people. Alex looks so young. The Explorer. My dad out here dreaming. He's really proud. I know he'd be really proud right now to see the changes and the growth of the company. It hasn't been easy, but it's definitely been a ride. And we see that things are just going to get better. My mother, unfortunately, we lost her in August 4th of 2020. Our best friend, my best friend, owner, wonderful woman. So she made a big change in the company, keeping it alive, and we are so grateful. We miss her. There's Jason, Captain Jason, third generation. He said he'll keep working the boats, so we're so glad. He's a wonderful captain, very sensible. He very, very smart, intelligent, great captain, great seaman, great son. Mark and I. This is my all-women crew, all-women captains. Last year we were able to get more lady captains. We're so fortunate to have these women working on the boat that are captains. It's a big responsibility. Paige and Lindsay and Jackie, Meg, Andrea's encouragement for them. She should be a captain. She doesn't have her captain's license, I don't think, but she should. She has enough sea time. And Tina, and then Brittany and Laura and Holly. So I think Holly is a crew, not a captain, but she could be a captain as well. Rado drives a Vanguard with Jason, and we're very grateful for her hard work. She's learned so much. All of my captains, Paige has become moving up the ladder. As we grow, we try and move our employees up as well. And Paige is helping Alex run the operations of the crew. So we just never thought we'd have more than 50 people, and we're going over that. And it's a lot of work, but we're very happy to have the help we have, and they all work very hard. Challenges we had is the COVID pandemic. My God, that was such a hard time. We all know it wasn't easy. There was hard times, but we made it. So that was hard times. The crew quarantining and keeping them well, and helping our passengers, and germiciding the boats, and being closed, part of the year was devastating. We got that government funding that was very good for us to survive. We're very happy that came through to keep our company going. The best years of our business have been in 21 and 22 because we had people who wanted to get away on the islands. They needed to be outdoors in the fresh air. Our employees worked hard to be safe. And we were very successful, yet hard work. And as you have to do what you have to do to make it work. It's just the way it is. And we worked with the park, we worked with the Nature Conservancy, and we made it happen to keep everybody safe. Andrea and my accounting department managing all the people with quarantining and COVID testing, and oh my God, it's just, I don't want to see that come back. It's been a challenge. Here's my girls in the office, keeping everything sanitary. Here we go. Here's another challenge that we had was our winter seasons. Every January, February, March, April, May, you can have some bad weather. And in the off season, it's always a challenge to get ahead. So we usually don't. And then we start doing well in the summer and fall months. So this last year was good, but this year it started hard. been for everyone. The winter has been a challenge with the wind and the rain. But most of all, the hardest times we had was in 2005 and 2018 when we had the La Conchita mudslide and the Montecito mudslide. So those two were devastating for the people. So Island Packers, Alex and our crew and Mark reached out with the staff, created shuttles back and forth to Santa Barbara and back to make it happen to get people where they needed to go, from hospital workers to hotel staff, for medical supplies, baked goods from for the bakeries, newspapers, animals, students that need to get to college and get back to school, you know, just all the things we had to do to get people back and forth. For the Montecito trip, that was 9 days we ran, and about 3,800 people that we took back and forth. It wasn't a money maker. It was hard work, overtime, a lot of fuel, but we helped. And that's what we wanted to do, was help. And we're glad we did. And there are no regrets, and we're ready for it. If it had to happen again, I don't want to do it, but if we had to, we're there for the people, for the community. Rough challenges again is those days out in the skiffing, out in the water on a skiff when we don't have piers. San Miguel Island, you know, no pier. Scorpion for a year, no pier. My crew learned how to drive skiffs again. In the old days, that's what we did. But having the catamarans and all those new piers on all the islands was great. So we less labor to train people to drive skiffs. However, we had to start again when we had Scorpion closed for almost a year, over a year, and with the new pier being built. So D-Day on some days for our crew, gear, camping gear, skiffing in, hard work, physical, very hard work, but they love it. A lot of these guys are surfers, girls, surfers, divers. They love it. I don't, but they do. And they're careful and they're safe, and our people get ashore safely. And they work very hard for that. So skiffing is a challenge, but we make it happen. Our gift shop is another great thing that we talk about. The gift shop is a profitable thing for us. It keeps our office open, you know, pays for my staff, my marketing, my advertising. It's a big thing for the company, and we try and have things in there that are related to the island for the visitor. Kathy Conley, my sister-in-law, was brought in the very beginning in the 90s to do the gift shop, and she's done a great job. And we've got a good staff now doing that. Debbie and several of my staff, Debbie and Karen Honeycutt is a full-time retail manager, and Debbie designs and creates and orders the shirts with Kathy. So we've got a good team that are making our gift shop fun and profitable. Whale watching, of course, big time, helps our company grow. That's what we are very good to have, a variety of sea life in the channel. Having the blues and the humpbacks in the summer, having the grays in the winter. We have whales year round now. That's a great thing. Summer whales, winter whales. People want to see whales. So our boats do really good finding these whales. The whales like our boats. As you can see, there's orcas. This is a humpback and feeding frenzy. Educating the people about these whales. It's just so great that we have this in our sanctuary, the protected sanctuary. Floating classroom, Andrea Mills. She is our head gal for education all these years. She's worked for over 35 years, but these school groups, we lost that when COVID came. There was a challenge of not having schools for 2 years. These children need this. We need to bring our kids out, whether it goes out with Channel Islands Restoration for education and work and learn about restoring the island natural history, the native plants, or kayaking with Channel Islands Adventure Company, whatever we can do to bring the kids out to have on-hand experience. My dad believed in that. Get them out of the classroom and get them out into nature. This is where you're going to learn. And Andrea and her team of educators of our company do a great job with that, as well as our NOAA volunteers help us assist our people in educating about the Channel Islands. This is our crew that I'm so thankful for. There's just so many. This is just a portion of them, just showing our appreciation of all their hard work they have done for the company, and we continue to do. More crew here. This just, I kept trying to get them all together for a company photo is impossible. So this is a couple different pictures, but look at the boats in the back. You just feel so fortunate to have what we have. So now we have the new contract. We waited and waited. We applied in September. Alex, Matt, and Andrea and Mark worked very hard and applied for the contract in September of last year. So we waited, as you heard me and others go, well, we don't know if we're going to be in business. It's going to be a challenge. So we've been waiting. We've been anticipating something, and we just didn't know. We had to be prepared that we would not receive the contract and be out in a year. That's a scary feeling. Could not make plans, could not do anything until we knew we had the contract. But Alex, Mark, and Matt and Andrea created the proposal and made a plan, and we're going to stick to it, but it's a growth for the company for the next 10 years. We waited to hear. We finally heard March 15th that we are the new concessionaire for the Channel Islands National Park. 10-year contract. So happy. And we're going to merge in, Island Packers is going to merge, bring in Superboat Incorporated into Island Packers. So we'll be one entity. No one really understood that, but the catamarans were separate for many years just to protect the boats, as Island Packers was in the old days not doing so well. Island Packers is doing great. So now we've got the two merged together to be one entity. We will start January 1, 2024 with a new contract and going to the islands and starting a new decade of operation. And we're excited to be working with the park and Channel Islands Restoration with this new goal. And one more thing before I end my talk, I just want to share that protecting the waters and the Channel Islands increases the variety of sightings in the channel every year. Dolphins and whales increasing sightings a lot. Island Packers gives the people the opportunity to explore the ocean and explore the Channel Islands. Our family started this business with little money, with a dream someday that would prosper. Human quality and compassion were most influential in shaping the business operated and influenced the times. The persistence in believing in a dream that is a business that will do well someday, and the ability to make people feel special for being outdoors, out in the ocean, and seeing dolphins and whales and wildlife. The dream was most beneficial with the company for many years, and wanted to be a part of the the dream was most beneficial when they gave up looking for the perfect boat and partnered with employees that had been with the company for many years. That made a change, Alex, Keith, and Mark, and wanted to be part of a long-deserved Conley dream. The quality of Island Packers most beneficial is the reputation for safety, new and improved vessels, and trained and educated crew and office staff who share their love of the islands with the passengers. Channel Islands is a sort of a fog-shrouded jewel, which we hope will never be like Catalina Island. Keep it simple, Mark always said. Don't change what's working. Our goal is to keep the island experience on a small scale and a family outing rather than a corporate resort destination. That's all I want to say, and I'm just so grateful that you had given me the opportunity to speak today, and I hope that this was very helpful. Thank you.
All right, applause, applause, applause. If you're at home, applaud. We can't hear you, but we know you're doing it. I know they're doing it, Cheryl, because congratulations and compliments and love are pouring in, not just on the Q&A here, but I got an email from somebody. Cheryl's doing great. It's really, really cool. But I do have a few questions, and of course now everybody's piling into the Q&A if you want to look at it for yourself. It's just giving you a thanks and appreciation. But if you have any other questions, folks, you can put them in there and I'll ask them. I have just a few here, but first, so many people are just saying thank you. And Reed, I think, had to leave a little early, but he wanted to say thank you, Cheryl, for your presentation, and CIR for putting it on. Helene said a couple of things. Appreciate all that your family has done and love Island Packers. And she said, congrats on your new contract. We took our first trip in 1996 and loved going out during COVID. Judy Overlander, hi Judy, says thanks to IPCO for everything you do in the park and for the park and the public. It's a great company. She also said Island Packers made the creation of Channel Islands National Park possible. They were there from the beginning. That's true. And Russell Chamberlain said, thank you, Cheryl. It's an amazing presentation. You put a lot of hard work into this, and that's obvious. So, okay, let me get to a few questions, then I'll look back at the Q&A, which got rather cluttered with all your high praise, very well-deserved high praise. That really was fun. Thank you, Cheryl. I saw this, by the way, folks, a shorter version of this, because it was like 10 years ago or something nearly, right?
Yes, yes,
it was
45 years.
One of the island symposiums. And I thought, oh God, that was so neat. I really enjoyed it. And that's why it occurred to me to invite you this round. Now, Kevin Canyon asks, did your family ever connect with the families that had beach shacks on Crystal Grove Beach in Orange County? By the way, he said your pictures, people keep saying how great the pictures are. He said it brought him to tears. But anyway, what about the Crystal Cove Beach in Orange County? Do you have any idea of who was there, the beach shacks?
No, I don't. I don't have any idea. I might have to ask my brother that question.
Mm-hmm. All right. Kim C says, thanks to IPCO for everything. You're a great company. Oh, that was in the comments. I want to get to the questions. Oh, yeah, right. That's because it's a different Kim C question. She wants to thank you and us for putting this on. The photos are an absolute treasure trove. The question is Island Packers being featured in the new museum in Carpinteria? Many thanks. So
yes.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Do you want to describe that or?
Yes, we haven't met on that, but we would like to be included. We want to take a commitment of investing as a portion of donation there so that we would be able to be part of that representation of Island Packers history. I know that my father is going to be as a display and an iron sculpture, and the company, the way we started and everything, but we also want to invest there so we can get some good presentation as well. But yes, we are meeting with Marla and Kirk soon on that. We just didn't know our future till we had the contract, which we got notice March 15th. So we waited since September, and now we know we're in business.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. Nancy Broom said, did you see any interesting wildlife on the islands in the early days?
Not as much as we've seen in the last 20 years. You know, when we were younger, we did not see whales like that. Never. I mean, it has changed. Dolphins were never like that. We had small pods of dolphins, a lot of birds, you know, but no, we did not have the marine life that we have had, and it's grown. And that's one of the things that's helped our business is whale watching, because there's so much marine life. And, you know, when people go on our boat and see 1,000 dolphin, they don't know what to think, you know. We don't want to promise it, so we don't advertise dolphin watching, but when they see them, it just makes their day. And we've seen so many in the last 20 something years, but no, in the old days, there were no sightings like this at all.
Yeah, that was going to be my gut reaction, is that things have gotten better over time, with the Marine Mammal Protection Act, with
Yes.
The
sanctuary.
Sanctuary, yeah, exactly. So let's see. Looking, just a lot of comments. If you want to look at the Q&A, you'll see them for yourself. But I'm a lot of people saying a lot of things, talking about how many times they've been out and when the first time was, and they're just really a lot of love out there.
Thank you.
And really, it's all comments at this point. It looks like all just really, really great comments. Does anybody have any other questions? I noticed, Jeff Smith, you had your hand up. Can you type your question into the Q&A? We have so many people on these presentations. By the way, you were, I think, pushing about 138 at one point, Cheryl, and it only went down to about 110 or so before you quit. So that's a really good showing.
Wow. Well, you know, it's hard to do 55 years in an hour. Without making it, I don't want to make it too boring. I hope it was okay. Yeah.
No, oh God, they love it. Everybody does, and so did I. So any other, okay, Kate S. Yeah. Kate says, I marvel at your whole family, how your whole family pulled together from when you were young kids. I think I can read these correct. She has a question. How did you fit in school?
How did I what?
Fit in school with all of this?
Oh my God. So we went to school, and as soon as we got out of school, we went down to the boats. We couldn't wait to get to the boats, you know, do our homework and get to the boats. That was a big thing. And so we worked the weekends, and during the week we had other crew running the boats. So, you know, we had to go to school. So yeah, so weekends were our time. And during the week we would go to school, and then after school, go down and do maintenance and help wherever we could.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to repeat this, but I'll put it in the question and answer, that you can go to our webpage to see these webinars repeated. This one will be up in a few days. Maury gets them up pretty quick, but it's our webpage is cirweb.org. CIR as in Channel Islands Restoration, and web like webpage.org/webinars. But I'll type that in on the question that was asked here. Yeah, when is Santa Barbara going to, but Ben Cow, hi Ben, wants to know, when is Santa Barbara Island going to open up again?
These are the challenges we have with the park, waiting and asking. We meet with them every week. They are working on where we could at least have a temporary small platform, some way to come in there. But all these storms we've had recently have not helped it at all. It's put it back a little bit more. So we want to go to Santa Barbara Island really bad, but we have to be safe, and there's got to be a better landing. And, you know, the sea lions love that island. They have taken it over. And so there's a lot of change that's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. So from Chris, KR6ISS, which
yes.
I recognize as the ham radio call. He asks, is seasickness a major issue with getting customers? The Santa Barbara Channel can be rough. Got seasick more than once, he says.
Yes. And, you know, we honestly tell people if they get really seasick, this isn't for you. But, you know, with the catamarans, they provide a better ride, as so does the Vanguard too. On certain weather conditions, they all work well. So we try and help people and educate them on what to do to avoid seasickness. And otherwise, you know, if you get really sick, it's not meant for you, and it's not made for you to go on our boats. And we want you to have a good time. I honestly, I get seasick on a really bad day. I live on a boat, so I get seasick when we take our boat out sometimes. But once I'm on the island, I feel better. So if you can manage to get your doctor to help you with the seasick remedy, that would help you get through the passage of an hour boat ride and then get on the island to get your feet on land, you'll be much better. But if you get really sick, it's not made for you, honestly. And we don't want to make you miserable. We want you to have fun.
Right. Okay, well, that's understandable. I'm lucky it doesn't happen to me, but I run into that when I say you should really go out to the Channel Islands. Oh, I get seasick is what I hear from 10% of the people. So Mark Bright asks, please keep up those pelagic bird excursions.
Yes. You're very good. Joel does a great job, and the people that come that represent the birding group, they are our naturalists, and they come on board, and it's a hit, man. We take these people out from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, and the boat is full, and they do a good job helping our crew, and we look for birds, and they love it. It's very, very popular, and we will keep doing them. We just need another boat. So when I get that new boat, we can do more whale watching trips, and we can do more birding trips and more other specialty trips like the Painted Cave and Prisoners Harbor or the Anacapa and Santa Cruz Island trip in one day. So those are the things we can't do because there's such a demand for the islands right now. Our boats, we don't have enough boats, but we will have that 4th boat coming soon that will help us.
Yeah, Mark also said Joel's a great captain.
Yes, he is. All of my crew. Yes, and Joel is great. Yes.
So Sandy asks, how does Island Packers relationship with the Channel Islands National Corps work?
You know, in the beginning, my crew would get upset about it and go, why do you have these people on the boat? You know, in the very beginning of the Naturalist Corps. And I said, because they're here to help you. Help the passengers, and now we are so fortunate to have them. So it's a separate relationship, but we book them as a guest on our boat, and we know that we have them on board for our crew, so the crew know, and then they help the crew educate on board, and it's a separate booking entity that comes aboard just to help our passengers. And that's a relationship that we have with the Park Service and NOAA. They joined together to create this corps, and we bring those volunteers in to help us on island hikes, on whale watching. It's wonderful. And then some of them volunteer and go out, and those Naturalist Corps, and stay out on the island and meet our guests when they come in. So we're just very fortunate to have them as a part of our team.
Yeah, good dedicated people there. Kevin Cannon wants to know, did your family hike backpack actually locally?
Yes, we did. We were all avid backpackers. My brothers particularly. I was the little girl that was spoiled, and I would go bring my mini pearls, my pearls, and my dolls and my bubble bath. So I didn't get to go as often. But my brothers, yes, they were very avid backpackers in the High Sierras, Mount Whitney, everywhere. They would love to backpack. That was part of my dad's dream, you know, is getting the kids out. And so they hiked all the time. And Mark still goes backpacking, not as much as he used to. He's in his 70s now, so a little not as active on that, but he still goes out. I think, and he goes out with you and helps work on the islands, and it's not easy, you know. So no, he loves hiking. And Kirk and my brother Brad, no, they haven't been backpacking lately, but when we were younger, they were very, very serious backpackers.
Great. Steve Pearson asks, any idea what finally happened to the quote We 7 unquote boat? I chartered it for 2 dive trips in '74, he says.
Yes, and I was the little cook on that boat those days. Yep, I remember those days. We 7 was the best dive boat around. So my brother had bought it, and then he sold it to a fisherman, and this guy that did charters for fishing, and then it got sold several times. Eventually it became a commercial fishing boat, and I'd seen it a couple times a few years back, but then they had to dismantle the vessel. It was no longer operable. It was a wooden vessel, so wooden vessels, sometimes if you're not restore the wood, they do go bad. So
yeah. Okay, well, here's our last question, unless somebody wants to slip in another one, or two, you're welcome to do so. Anna D asks, did you have any competition trying to have a contract, really renew your contract with the islands, those islands too? I think she's talking about your contract with a park.
Yeah, I think so too. And so that that question there never got answered with the park. We were told there would be someone most likely that is applying, but they wouldn't tell us who. And they couldn't tell us. It's not something they can give out as public information. So we don't know yet, but we will find out if there was somebody else. We will work on that. But at this time, we don't know of anyone that applied, but we were warned that there would be. So who it is, I don't know. And but we're very glad that we got it. We were on our edge, not knowing of our future. Yeah, so we're very, very happy.
Well, great, Cheryl. That looks like all the questions from these neat people. Oh, Kate, you stuck something in there. Curious, what did your dad's parents do? Seems like your dad had an amazing work ethic and inspired all his kids to be great, loyal workers.
So he was a designing engineer for over 40 years. He was.
She's asking about your dad's parents.
Oh, my dad's parents. Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. And my grandparents, I was a child when they passed. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, she was an artist, an amazing artist. I didn't put her picture in there because I thought I don't want to show every family member, but she was a very special artist. She did paintings and watercolors, and a very smart woman. But no, nobody helped us do what we do. My dad was the one. He was the one that was the boater. He worked on longshore boats, banana boats, and worked hard, in his younger years. So he was the one that inspired us to start this business. His parents, I don't think had anything to do with it.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I see Carolyn Green in there. And other folks that I know. I haven't heard from you in a while, Carolyn. Glad you could join us. And Kate says thanks. And with that, we're going to close the presentation tonight. Again, thank you very much to everybody who participated. Darn it, Maury, can you answer that question? Somebody had asked for the link to the website for the webinars, and I was going to type that in, but now it's not obvious to me. But I'll repeat it. Of course, it's our website, cirweb.org, cirweb.org, like webpage, and /webinars. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot of really neat stuff to see. I would highly recommend it, going back just to look at some of the other presentations we've had, or to find Cheryl's presentation again in a little while, in a few days. So thank you so much, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have this time. And I have to say, you guys have a great organization. I tell everybody about you that they should go ahead and sign up and volunteer, because you guys got a good thing going on there.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. And Island Packers is supporting us in more ways than one. So we really appreciate the support. It's amazing. You guys are great. So very good. Thank you, everybody. Maury, when's our next presentation?
It will be a month from now on April 26th.
And do we know what that one is yet?
Yes, that one is with Island Conservation, which is a international organization that does conservation on islands all over the world.
Yeah, think about rats on Anacapa, or the lack thereof. Okay, great, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you again, Cheryl, and thank you, Maury. Good night.
Thank you, Maury. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.